Is Robert and I'm an addict?
Robert.
And let's open this meeting up with a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, so we're at step 12. Yay! Nice to get through. This is where some fun begins, really. So step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of those steps, we tried to carry this message to addicts and practice these principles in all our affairs. So they did change that word to these. We came to Narcotics Anonymous as an end result of the wreckage of our past. The last thing we expected was an awakening of the spirit. We just wanted to stop hurting. The steps lead us to an awakening of a spiritual nature. This awakening within is evidenced by the change in our lives. This change makes us better able to live by spiritual principles and carry our message of recovery and hope to the addict who still suffers. The message, however, is meaningless unless we live it. As we live it, our lives and actions give it more meaning than our words and literature ever could. How we treat people is the evidence, man. The idea of a spiritual awakening takes on many different forms in the different personalities we find in the fellowship. However, all spiritual awakenings have some things in common. Among them are an end to loneliness and a sense of direction in our lives. Many of us believe a spiritual awakening is meaningless unless accompanied by an increased peace of mind and concern for others. In order to maintain peace of mind, we strive to live in the here and now. Those of us who have made an effort to work these steps to the best of our ability receive many benefits. We believe that these benefits are a direct result of living this program. When we first begin to enjoy relief from our addiction, we run the risk of assuming control of our lives again. We forget the agony and pain we have known. Our disease controlled us all our lives when we were using. It is ready and waiting to take over again. We quickly forget that all our past efforts at controlling our lives failed. Crazy how we got great forgetters. That's one of the big reasons of carrying the message to others. When we keep newcomers fresh and close to us all the time, a healthy respect for our disease stays alive with that too. When we see the insanity in other people's minds and the way it's working and lying to them, we recognize that our brains do the same things. By this time, most of us have come to realize that the only way we can keep what we have was given to us was by sharing this new gift of life with the still suffering addict. This is our best insurance against relapse to the torturous existence of using. We call it carrying the message, and we do it in a number of ways. In the 12th step, we practice the spiritual principles of giving the NA message of recovery away in order to keep it. Even a member with one day in the NA fellowship can carry the message that this program works. When we share with someone, we may be asked to be used as a spiritual instrument of our higher power. We don't set ourselves up as gods. We often ask for help of another recovering addict when sharing with a new person. It is a privilege to respond to a cry to help. We who have been in the pits of despair feel fortunate to help others find recovery. We help new people learn the principles of Narcotics Anonymous. We try to make them feel welcome and help them learn what the program has to offer. We share our experience, strength, and hope. When possible, we accompany them to a meeting. The selfless service of this work is the very principles of step 12. We receive our recovery from the God of our understanding, so we make ourselves available as a tool to share recovery with those who seek it. Most of us learn in time that we can only carry our message to someone who is asking for help. Unsolicited advice rarely goes over well. Sometimes the only message necessary to make the suffering addict reach out is the power of example. An addict may be suffering but unwilling to ask for help. We can make ourselves available to these people so that when they ask for help, someone will be there. Learning the art of helping others when it is appropriate is the benefit of the NA program. Remarkably, the 12 steps guide us from humiliation and despair to a state wherein we may act as instruments of our higher power. We are given the ability to help fellow addicts when no one else can. We see it happening among us every day. This miraculous turnabout is evidence of a spiritual awakening. We share from our own personal experiences what it has been like for us. The temptation to give advice is great, but when we do so, we lose the respect of newcomers. This clouds our message. A simple, honest message of recovery from the addict or from addiction rings true. I definitely want to touch on that a little because it didn't really bring up loudly enough in the step working guide about that. What makes NA work so much better? I mean, when we sit up here and just preach to the newcomer, do your 90 meetings in 90 days, call your sponsor every day, and don't pick up no matter what. And we just rattle off all these orders and try to just give them the perfect combination. That's what we want to do. Give them all the ingredients of the recipe, and kind of like we're kind of like cutting to the back of the book and giving them all the answers first, right? And most newcomers, they identify with experience, strength, and hope. And by us sharing what we did, that when I got clean, I hit, it was suggested to me by my sponsor that I hit my knees every day and ask for the obsession and compulsion to be removed. I'm not telling anybody they got to do it, but that's what was suggested to me, and that's what I did. I went to meetings every day for my first 5 years. I didn't miss a meeting unless I was deathly ill. That's what I did. I'm not telling anybody else that they have to live up to that standard, but I had a big ass monkey and I wanted the best insurance I could of being able to stay clean. So I hung on to this program like my life depended on it. If I tell people, hey, you got to go to me, just renew your 90 and 90, and I just, rattle off this drill sergeant kind of instruction to people, it may sound like I'm, trying to be their boss or their daddy or, take responsibility for their life. And I don't want to take responsibility for anybody else's life. But if all I do is simply share what it was like, what I did differently, and what it's like today, they can make their own decision on what the hell they want to do or not, And once I've demonstrated those tools to them, what they do with those tools after that is between them and God. It's none of my business. Fly or die, live or use, however you want to do it. The tools work really good for me. They might work for you too. We have subtle suggestions around here that we all commonly do, and don't get me wrong, man, I do it too. Everybody's looking at me like, oh my God, we give advice almost all the time. It's really, really hard not to because it's tempting, and I'm not saying that I do it perfectly, but when I share honestly what it was that I did exactly, and when I share honestly what I still do on a daily basis to keep my recovery at the fashion that I have it. People just, they take it or leave it, it's crazy how many guys that I sponsor that say they want what I got, but they don't want to do everything I do. Well, guess what? You probably won't get what I got. You'll get your own variety of it. Your recipe is going to come out the way yours is going to come out. Maybe your tree won't be as fruitful as what mine is if you don't use all the ingredients in it. But again, that's not my business. I don't take responsibility for anybody's success or failure in these rooms. My job is simply to share my experience, strength, and hope. And after that, like I said, it's between them and God. And it keeps me from taking responsibility when people go out and overdose and kill them goddamn selves. I'm not responsible. I didn't tell them how to live their life. Not that they listened to me. I told them anyway, because most people don't. Learning the art of helping others when it's appropriate is a benefit of the NA program. Remarkably, the 12 steps guide us from humiliation and despair to a state wherein we may act as instruments of our own higher power. We are given the ability to help fellow addicts when no one else can. We see it happening among us every day. This miraculous turnabout is evidence of a spiritual awakening. We share from our own personal experience what it has been like for us. The temptation to give advice is great, but when we do so, we lose the respect of newcomers. This clouds our message. A simple, honest message of recovery from addiction rings true. We attend meetings and make ourselves visible and available to serve the fellowship. We give freely and gratefully of our time, service, and what we have found here. The service we speak of in Narcotics Anonymous is the primary purpose of our groups. Service work is carrying the message to addicts who still suffers. The more eagerly we wade in and work, the richer our spiritual awakening will be. Oh, the more selfless I give, the more I get out of myself. And this is where I think a lot of people get caught up, man. How is this going to work for me? The more eagerly I wade in. And so my disease rests in my selfishness and self-centeredness. So it's not rocket science that the more I get out of myself and try to help other people and live with selfless actions with no strings attached. I just want to see this person get another day clean if I can help in any way, shape, or form. And the more I'm in the act of doing that, the less I'm able to be in the action of selfishness and self-centeredness. Kind of like 7-step stuff in a way. I'm living in the asset of the character defect of my selfishness, and I'm flipping it around. So the best antidote for selfishness and self-centeredness, so the old bugaboos of, my life isn't going well. It was talking about the loneliness earlier in this chapter. We're no longer facing that. You hear old timers come in all the time, grumpy fuckers pissing and moaning about their life not going the way they want. And they share half the time like I'm just in my home group this week and I'm checking in. I want to let everybody know how crappy my life is. And it's just a little crappier than it was last week. And let me tell you how great and how crappy it is now. And it creates no attraction. I mean, it's like, thank you very much for coming down here all this way just to throw up your namby-pamby Cadillac problems on me, especially when you're in a room full of people that are just trying to get up off the streets and you're complaining about the convertible top on your goddamn BMW or something like that, some little crazy little Cadillac problem. But the problem is, to me, it's the lose-lose situation, okay? We got the old timer that has the information and the knowledge of this the life-saving stuff that we have here, and they're staying at home 6 days a week, not giving it away, trying to get through to the next week, and they're wondering why their spiritual connection and their own personal lives aren't going well. Because they're still stuck in selfishness and self-centeredness. They're still stuck on self-will run riot. I really don't believe my higher power asks too much of me. And I'm willing to go do more for my higher power than the average person, I believe. And I do that simply because my reward is big. And the more my reward is big, I feel more responsibility to give even more. It's addictive in nature, but if I didn't see the value in it, I wouldn't do it. And for me, the perspective on my life and the balance, the spiritual balance that happens in my life, because my default setting is selfishness and self-centeredness. So I have to intentionally make the actions to be selfless and slow my roll and talk to that one more newcomer when I'm walking out the door, to get that one more phone number from one more new guy sitting next to me in the room at the meeting that's being quiet and I haven't heard him say nothing. And I get a phone number from him. I get him to stick around for a damn meeting. Those little things get me out of myself. When I wake up in the morning and my first thought is how another newcomer might have made it through the night, and maybe if they made it through clean, and I get a text message and I follow up with them and I said, hey man, how's day 13 going for you, or how day 12 or whatever, I'm escaping my own prison of selfishness, which has been my major problem my whole friggin' life. I have never suffered a serious lack in my life. I've always had everything that I needed, but I've always felt like I didn't have enough. The quicksand of selfishness and self-centeredness was killing me. I didn't even know it. And the 12th step is the antidote for this. The first way in which we carry the message speaks for itself. People see us on the street and remember us as devious, frightened loners. They notice fear leaving our faces. They see us gradually come alive. Once we find the NA way, boredom and complacency have no place in our new life. By staying clean, we begin to practice such principles as hope, surrender, acceptance, honesty, open-mindedness, willingness, faith, tolerance, patience, humility, unconditional love, sharing, and caring. As our recovery progresses, they touch every area of our lives because we simply try to live this program in the here and now. These things don't just happen. All those qualities we just said there, They are not natural states of mind for me. I have to intentionally try to practice those things. And I do. I grab one of those words and I try to focus on those in different meditations during my week, just so I can try to be, especially trying to be considerate. It's one thing just to do what people ask me. It's another thing to be considerate of my wife, my family's, and my kids' needs and people I know's needs before they even ask me for it. Because sometimes people don't ask. Being considerate. As our recovery progresses, they touch every area of our lives because we simply try to live the program in the here and now. We find an indescribable joy as we start to learn how to live by the principles of recovery. It is the joy of watching a person 2 days clean say to a person with 1 day clean, an addict alone is in bad company. It is the joy of watching a person who is really struggling to make it suddenly in the middle of helping another addict stay clean, become able to find the words they need to say coming from within. Crazy how most of my personal answers in the beginning of clean time, whenever I'd have a major problem, my sponsor would be like, go find a newcomer and help after a meeting, whether it be with my wife, my job, or whatever. And most of my solutions to my problems that I thought I had to figure out in my life came when I was in the middle of trying to help somebody else. When I got out of myself and I just pulled my head out of my butt long enough to help somebody else that's got it a little bit less or a little bit worse than what I have it, my life gets better. I think one of the best things my sponsor taught me early on is the big secret around here is that there's always somebody in the meeting that's got it a little bit worse than you do. Your job is to find that person and see if you can just make their life a little bit better, whether it's a positive, encouraging word, a hug, a look of, I give a fuck, instead of get the hell out of my way. I'm on my way out to my car right now. I got places to do and things that, when I slow my roll down, it makes a difference. Cameron, just like you, day 13, bro. You see new guys out here, it's talking about in the 12th step, you're not even close to the 12th step, but it's saying right here, it's giving you permission with 1 day, 2 days, 13 days clean that you can help that next dude walk in the door and give them some love. And like it says in here that we tell them that an addict alone is in bad company. We share different kinds of advice like that. Let's see. It is the joy of watching a person who was really struggling to make it suddenly in the middle of helping another addict to stay clean, become able to find the words they need to say coming from within. Where'd those words come from? How many of you guys have had that experience? Been sharing with somebody, trying to find just that right stuff to say to them, especially when I was new in recovery. And I swear to God, there was times that I was like, sometimes some knowledge comes out of my mouth that I have no clue where it came from. Yeah. Mm-hmm. However you want to say it, the God within, that little piece of God that's within each and every one of us. And the more it says, just like it said in this book, the more I wade in and do God's work, trying to help God help his kids, the more God is going to use me. Now, God can't really use me very well if I'm sitting on my couch at home watching football all the goddamn time. And if I'm not at home, not here down here trying to help people. If I can't do it from email. I'm sorry. I mean, I've seen people try to do this Zoom stuff, and I guess it's okay in a pinch. And if I was bedridden and couldn't get out, and when I'm physically unable to do it, maybe I'm going to have to try to figure out how that works. But until I can, until I can no longer doing it, I'd rather be the last man standing out there in the parking lot every night. All right, we feel our lives have become worthwhile. Spiritually refreshed, we are glad to be alive. When using, our lives became an exercise of survival. Now we are doing much more living than surviving. Realizing that the bottom line is staying clean, we can enjoy it. We like being clean and enjoy helping to carry the message of recovery to the addict who still suffers. Going to meetings really works. Practicing spiritual principles in our daily lives lead us to a new image of ourselves. Honesty, humility, and open-mindedness help us treat our associates fairly. Our decisions become tempered with tolerance. We learn to respect ourselves. The lessons we learn in our recovery are sometimes bitter and painful. By helping others, we find the reward of self-respect as we are able to share the lessons with other members of Narcotics Anonymous. We cannot deny other addicts their pain, but we can carry the message of hope that was given to us by fellow addicts in recovery. We share the principles of recovery as they have worked in our lives. God helps us as we help each other. Life takes on a new meaning, a new joy, and a quality of being and feeling worthwhile. We become spiritually refreshed and are glad to be alive instead of wanting to eat a bullet every damn day. One aspect of our spiritual awakening comes through the new understanding of our higher power that we develop by sharing another addict's recovery. Yes, we are a vision of hope. We are examples of the program working. The joy that we have in living clean is an attraction to the addict who still suffers. We do recover to live clean and happy lives. Welcome to NA. The steps do not end here. They are just the beginning.
I like the version better.
Not a lot different, but there's some
Wording.
They dude, they got down to it. They got a little harsher to it and direct to it to the point back then. As the newer editions have kind of came around, literally that we've softened up most of our language. And I'm not saying that it's all, some of it I agree with, some of it not, but it all works, So I'm gonna go in here, the step working guide, and we're gonna use the same questions we have in there. And so I'm going to start up here. I'm just going to go ahead and read the step again because it's written differently on this one than what the last one was, being the second edition. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. If we've made it to this point, we've had a spiritual awakening. Though the nature of our awakening is as individual and personal as our spiritual path, the similarities in our experiences are striking. Almost without exception, our members speak to feeling free, a feeling of more lightheartedness, or being more lighthearted more of the time, of caring more about others, and of the ever-increasing ability to step outside ourselves and participate fully in life. So question one that we're going to throw in here, and so there's a couple new guys, so I'm going to go around the room and ask questions of people. These questions we're going to read here, and Gene and Cameron, be prepared to answer every question like I'm going to ask you, even though I'm not going to ask everybody all the questions. I'm just going to kind of bounce around the room, not in any particular order, so you can't really see it coming. Just so, but the whole intent of doing it that way is so you are actually at least trying to internally answer ththese questions to yourself, like you would be if you're just sitting here with the book by yourself or with somebody else, have that answer prepared in your head for when I call you. If I ask you and you're just going, what was the question that I know you were thinking about the laundry list or that sweet honey you missed last Thursday night that you still haven't told me about? You could answer that question, but she had a really great personality, didn't she? Absolutely. All right. Number one, what is my overall experience as a result of working the steps, Albert? Freedom. Overall experience. Very good one there. Ray, what is the overall experience of the result of working the steps for you?
Spiritual sanity.
Spiritual sanity. Faith and sanity. And getting stronger all the time. Number two, what has my spiritual awakening been like, Raul?
Peaceful.
You didn't fight a little?
I mean, not at the end anymore.
Yeah. God fought for a long time before I finally did surrender. It was a struggle, man. After surrender, it's crazy how easy things are. Once we finally do really surrender and be all into this deal, it's crazy how much simpler it is when I just surrender and follow directions and suggestions. When I start treating the suggestions like they are subtle commands instead of optional and indispensable, or not indispensable principles like honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. They are optional, is the way I interpreted that for a lot of years. Now they're not. They are absolutes for me. I need to hang on to those kind of things. What has your spiritual awakening been like, Ryan?
Working on it. I guess my spiritual experience has come in different ways, I guess. I am a little kinder to people than I used to be. More mindful. Like before I leave the house, anybody in the house, if I know that no one drives at me where I'm at, I know that they suck to get into the buses, so I'm more mindful that they got a million store, you guys want to come. Still shit like that when I can give a fuck more.
So for me, one of the most important parts about a spiritual awakening is it's directly related to the amount of love I give. I mean, I love the essence of God as love, and anytime I'm in the act of unconditional love, just caring. Just being caring and considerate in traffic, and not being a dick out there and retaliating and game on and playing the road rage game and all that kind of stuff, and just letting people get in front of me that I know were just cutting to the front of the line and making, that thought they were specialer than everybody else, and and that it makes me grind my teeth, but I've done a whole lot worse, right? 3, what lasting changes have resulted from my spiritual awakening, Michael?
Lasting changes. I'm more accepting of other people, more understanding, helpful, of service, willing to go. I say yes a lot more than I used to.
Not always looking for the excuse to get out of doing stuff.
I'm tired every night when I go to sleep because I go the extra mile usually every day.
Looking for the opportunities. Yep. Instead of looking at people as a nuisance, and friends just always want shit. I mean, I didn't want friends. I was talking to Cam earlier. I didn't come into Narcotics Anonymous wanting friends. That's the last thing I want. I didn't want friends. They were baggage. They were unnecessary. I mean, unless you had more than I had, and I could figure out how to get it away from you, I wasn't all that friendly to you. So being a friend without strings was really important. Sean, what lasting changes have resulted from your spiritual awakening?
That I feel like my past does not define me, and how I'm going in this program, learning to live a better spiritual life, and being just it's a lot of stuff that I can say. But yeah, I realize now that my past does not have to define me, and that I'm becoming the man that he wants me to be.
Weren't a bad guy after all, just spiritually sick.
Yeah, toothless and ugly.
Just sick, man. Just sick. Okay, which spiritual principles have been connected to which steps for me, and how have those contributed to my spiritual awakening, Adam?
Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. It's connected to almost all of the steps. And I say they've all contributed in different ways. So.
Okay. What does the term spiritual awakening mean to you, Cameron?
I mean, I haven't had a spiritual awakening yet, but it's something I want to experience. I'm not sure.
How long were you closed off to any kind of recovery and getting any kind of help? How long were you stuck out there and refused to do anything about a problem that you knew existed?
20 years.
So you've awakened to needing some help, and have humbled to asking for some help. And you're here treating your disease tonight. And first thing we got to do with any problem is be honest about it and recognize it. The next thing we are is open-minded to do something about it. And then we get open-minded, we go through that door, and then we become willing to stay late for that second meeting, even later on than the meeting we always came to today, which is something you already did today. So we start awakening from the minute we're here and we're open-minded. Now, maybe we're not completely open-minded when we come in with that sign-in sheet and we're just here to get our card signed and get out of here. But most of the time, many of us, we start that the minute we start, once our hearts start hearing other people share, which is what the 12-step is all about, how we reach each other and how we can reach each other when nobody else could, then that's where the magic starts happening for most people, because spiritual awakenings happen to people when they're not even looking for them. We help make that happen through our own honest sharing is what makes that stuff happen. When we love people that are like, why do you love me? Why are you coming over here to give me a hug and getting me a cup of coffee? And, offering to buy me a basic text or I mean, it's crazy how those little things are. I mean, dude, I didn't give anything if you didn't have something to offer me before. I mean, if I didn't think I could get something out of you, I didn't give you. That's how selfish I was. I didn't do anything about just being a nice guy. So we tried to carry the message. Next page. Okay. So there we go. So in the next section here, we tried to carry this message. We can only keep what we have by giving it away. This saying is perhaps the most powerful reason why we present for carrying the message. Many of us wonder, though, exactly how this concept works. It's simple, really. We reinforce our recovery by sharing it with others. When we tell someone that people who go to meetings regularly stay clean, we are more likely to apply that practice to our own recovery. When we tell someone that the answer is in the steps, we're more likely to look there ourselves. When we tell newcomers to get and use a sponsor, we are more likely to stay in touch with our own. We should also keep in mind that sometimes, no matter how long we've been clean, we need to hear the message. And if we sit quietly in a meeting, we have a good chance of doing so. And I have been in meetings where I've heard the newcomer that was loaded out of their freaking mind share the exact message that I needed to hear. So when we're open to God to be talking to us, or our higher power to be speaking to us, God will use an amazingly strange tactics to make those things happen. So what are the different ways in which I have experienced the message? Chandler O.
In the sense of receiving or giving.
What are the different ways in which I've experienced the message?
I mean, having a home group, I get to get that, but also now working in recovery, I get to pass on what's so freely given to me. So it's kind of like a win-win situation there. I have good people I surround myself giving me the message, and I get to relay all the knowledge I've built for the last almost year, you know what I mean, to all those coming in detoxing at their worst time. So
You're like a pipe connector. You're like feeds feeds out from you.
It's crazy the different ways that this thing works. I mean, for me, like when I started studying the literature from the heart, where I got after the point where I had enough, it was working for me, and the next level of trying to become a better tool to helping people, and I was studying and reading books for the third and fourth times and the same passages over and over and over, trying to really, I mean, to help somebody else really get a good first step, to help somebody else get a comprehension of what that is, man. Dude, it's a whole different level. When I'm studying my ass off, and the severity trying to doing it where you're trying to do something to better yourself, to be able to help God, help more of his kids, maximizing my service to other people, and out of gratitude of getting my own damn ass saved. 7, what kind of service work am I doing to carry the message, Albert?
Oh man, I do a lot of H&I. I do sponsor guys. I meet newcomers all the time, both men and women. I just talk to the women with respect, and then I just ask newcomers like where they're at, I help them. Put myself out there, help in any kind of take them to a meeting. That's just what I like to do. That's what was done for me. Willing to pick somebody up, drop them off, try to just go the extra mile, because that helps me more than I'm helping them.
What kind of service work you like doing, Ray?
Mentoring, secretarying, sharing in the meetings.
Okay, so in here, let's see. Opening a meeting, making sure there is a place for the message to be carried, Taking on a service position in any capacity helps keep NA itself going, and we can do a great deal of good if we approach our service to the fellowship in a caring, loving, and humble way. Not a "we said clean, not sober" kind of attitude, loving, caring, and how we approach things, Sponsoring other addicts brings to life the therapeutic value of one addict helping another. When I first got into service, man, when I was in my early 20s and late teens, I was a chairperson for Southern Nevada area H&I, taking meetings out at the prison before I was even able to take a legal drink. And I was one of those NA Nazis out there that if you said the sober word in a meeting, I would be like, "We say clean, not sober."
Yeah.
And
I believe that.
yeah. And I hate to think about how many people I ran out of the rooms in Narcotics Anonymous with that kind of attitude. And being a Nazi about it. Just really, I mean, Nazi is probably a bad word, but that is kind of what NA, it's a cliche that NA is used for years for people that take traditions and use them to beat people over the head in self-righteousness and superiority. And that's exactly what I was doing with them. I got a strange little surge and power thing out of it when I was a young man, feeling like I knew the book and I was rubbing people's noses in their imperfections instead of taking somebody across the side, not putting them on blast in front of a whole bunch of people when I see them doing something like that, but doing it on a one-on-one level where it's like, that they understand what the differences of the languages and respecting the house that they're in and the differences, because they are different. I mean, there are two different fellowships, and we do work our steps differently, and the practical applications, and fundamentally, we're quite different in several different ways. I mean, when you see two different groups standing outside this clubhouse at night, we can pick out who's here for the NA meeting and who's not here for the NA meeting pretty damn quick. We can usually, pick each other out pretty quick. We know who we are. But anyway, so what are the different ways? What are some of the different ways of carrying the message? Ryan don't want that. Adam, you want that one?
Yeah, sure.
What are some different ways of carrying the message? Which ones do you personally participate in?
Well, you can sponsor people. You can hang out after the meeting, talk to people. You can promote the message by acting, and living the program and showing people so the attraction. But you can carry the message with the camera.
That could help.
Yeah, run a YouTube channel, and that's the one I participate in right now.
You've been putting a lot of work into that lately too. I mean, all the endless hours of editing this crap that I'm putting out there. So there's any one of a different way, but the most important way we carry the message is with our feet and how we treat people. Just like I was saying, being that dick rubbing somebody's nose in an imperfection at a meeting and putting them on a blast is not the way we do things. If we want to do things effectively and loving, we do them from the heart and from love and from being well informed. And it's attraction, right? Trying to be militant about stuff just doesn't work. My feet carry a much louder message than my words ever do with the way I treat people and interact with people. And when we have confrontation at a meeting, we had this gal that I've had to walk out of our meeting at Vegas Stronger several times because she comes in just whacked out and she just can't sit down. And God bless her, man. I make her coffee every time she comes in because she goes and messes around with the coffee maker, and I'll go make her coffee and get her a bottle of water and take her a little nap. Going to do everything that I possibly can to help her have a chance at sitting there and sitting still so she can stay in the damn meeting, and not take it personal. It's not personal, And last night she did really good for about 20 minutes, and then she just started making random noises while people were sharing, and I walked her outside and talked to her and offered her a ride to Detox. I said, we can take you over there if you want, and cheered her on, because I did see her get a 30-day chip one time. Kayla, yeah. Hey, Kayla, and I saw her get 30 days clean once, and I reminded her of when that was a year ago, and her eyes were spinning, but she could recognize that, So I asked her to leave a meeting, but in a loving way, where I know our bond got closer that moment, And to me, the whole thing about doing stuff like that is when somebody to do it in a way where when they do want help, that you're one of those people she looks forward to seeing again.
Trust.
That you build up a little bit of trust that they know, where they know I'm not doing it out of meanness and judgment, or that when I'm doing, when you do it from a state of love, no matter how fucked up people are, most of them can recognize that you're coming from a loving place, and that's, her life matters. Sorry. Her life does matter, and I told her that, you matter. You can get this thing. We've all been just this screwed up. I mean, so we carry it in a lot of different ways. And with love is the main one. Number 9, what's my personal style of sponsorship? I have to bring that one back over to Albert again.
Well, I abuse the shit out of them.
They deserve it. Knuckleheads galore. Got to pound them a few times.
Just, try to teach them how I was taught, really. You know what I mean? And whether they do or they don't, that's not on me. I'm just there to show them how I was taught, and what they do with that, that's on them. I could talk to you till we're black and blue, but what you're gonna do is, your way, how, like what you said.
Yeah. All right. So there's a lot of different styles of sponsorship. I'm not that guy. Call me every damn day. I'm not. Last thing I want to be is, I don't want to be somebody's God and be the one that's responsible for telling them everything they need to do every day. That's not the whole point. I really believe our job is to help guide people to having their own spiritual awakening and having a spiritual experience, so they can come in contact with a higher power that will answer and solve most of their problems without having to be their babysitter. I don't want to be somebody's God. I don't want to be, my sponsor told me, like, look, dude, if you still got to call me every day after a year, I haven't done my job. I became your higher power. You didn't find a higher power. I became your higher power, So there are different styles. And so what is the difference between attraction and promotion? Yeah, you can try that one, right? Everything.
Instead of promoting it by wearing it, if I had it all in my head when you called me. I make it look good. Like when it looks good, people want it. Like when I saw other people like me in the program, all tatted up and just and they look genuinely happy, and like they didn't care about the material. It's like, wow, that was like really sexy to me. Like I want that. It attracted me to what are you doing? How long do you got? Like, just made me want to know more. It attracted me.
To me, the most attractive thing we have in Narcotics Anonymous is having fun around here. If you're clean and having fun, living and enjoying life without the use of drugs, that's the shit I didn't know how to get, So my wife, when she got clean, I just want to throw it in there too, because it took 2 years when I first got clean for my wife to finally decide that she wanted to get clean too. After I stopped stealing half of her prescriptions from her couple of doctors that she had, and I wasn't taking most of her dope, she started to spiral further and further down. And I had lots of people in recovery telling me, you deserve better than this. You're going to get high if you stay living in the house with her, with all the drugs and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, what kind of hypocrite would I be if just because I'm the biggest piece of crap in the house, I get clean and immediately demand that she get her shit together when I finally get willing? I mean, to me, it was like, I can't do that. I can't just walk away from a 14-year marriage and be the hypocrite, even though she was getting pretty toxic, and trading her in on a couple of 25-year-olds sounded like an interesting proposition at the time, but I knew that it was, I'd pray and I'd meditate on it, and I knew that I had to give her time. I never once in that 2-year time did I ever tell her, you got a problem with drugs. I never told her once. I never said, do you want to go to a meeting? Nothing. I did conveniently leave the Am I an Addict pamphlet conspicuously laying around from time to time, maybe on the kitchen counter, hoping that maybe she might, read some literature, especially when I knew she was tore up, But the main thing I did, dude, was I started living life to its fullest. I was hitting the gym, I was mountain bike riding, I was doing bicycle marathons and shit, riding from my house to Mount Potosi and back on a bicycle. Going on retreats on the weekend, and I go to these spiritual retreats and stuff. And I come back on Sunday, and she'd be still high as fuck, but she encouraged me to go to those things because every time I came back, I was a better me. Every time I came back, I greeted her with more love and more. I treated her, that was really one of the things that created most, I think, the attraction for her. That I never once said, you got a problem, you need to go get your shit together and blah, blah, blah. What I do is I kept doing things like, okay, we're going to start going. She came up with the idea about going to church, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to start doing ideas you want to do. So we started going to church every weekend, and we were doing the church and the movie thing every Saturday night. I got back into opening the car door for her and treating her more like a princess. And it took 2 years of letting my feet do the talking. But the day came when she literally, we were coming home from the movies one night, and I really thought she was going to tell me she had a whole bunch of payday loans and her credit cards racked up again, is what I thought she was getting ready to tell me. We can sense the desperation on our spouses is coming. Things are coming to a boil, and I felt it was coming. And she just said, can you help me get clean? And I got the opportunity to take 2 weeks off of work and stayed home with her ass and detoxed her old school on the couch at home and got her to some meetings and got her plugged in. And, she stayed clean for almost 10 years the first time. And then she fell off for about 4 or 5 years. And now she's back sitting up at about 4 years again right now. Nothing's perfect around here if you're going to be married in recovery. But to me, that attraction rather than promotion. Had I been like trying to promote NA and shove NA down her throat that whole time, this would be the last person, and I would be the last person she would have asked for help had I been trying to force this down. But waiting for her to ask for the advice instead of giving the unsolicited advice made all the difference in the world. Because when we're in the grips of our disease, the last thing we want is unsolicited advice from somebody that's clean. Because we already got cases built up against it. So anyway, all right, back. We're gonna go down here to what is it different? We did that on 11. What does it do for me to carry the message? Tell me about it, Cameron. When you carry the message, I know you got to be talking to a few guys around here. Do you get anything out of trying to help another guy stay clean, or? I know. But your experience is valuable. It's all got to start somewhere. So you're all right. I don't want to put you on blast too much. I just want to make sure that you feel a part of this thing. Connor? Chandler O'Connor?
It gives me a little peace and helps me feel good knowing I'm doing the right thing instead of being a piece of poop.
A piece of poop? All right. I'm gonna give this one to Sean. How are the 5th traditions and the 12-step tied together?
Well,
what's that 5th tradition? What's that 5th tradition? Cheat sheet right behind me.
it helps me to carry a clear message and
How are the 5th tradition and the 12th step tied together?
They were carrying a message to the addicts who still suffer.
What's our primary purpose?
That's our primary
It gives us purpose and a priority in our life is exactly what it gives us. That's what the most important thing is. And when we come in here, we practice that purpose no matter what our personal problems are. And we put our personal problems in God's hands and we come try to help one of his kids. Our living problems are reduced to an acceptable level. 13, what keeps me coming back and trusting the NA program? Raul?
It's, to me, it's like not just the people in NA, but NA as a whole is welcoming, like unconditional love, where you can come to a place no matter what city, and you can walk into any group.
Worldwide Fellowship.
Yeah.
Yes, for the most part. Sometimes you got to be the one going out and giving the love to get it. I mean, some groups are more welcoming than others. You know, there are, especially big groups tend to be more cliquey and people are standing around. It's like you got to put flares up in the sky to get any kind of attention. But, you know, we push through the awkwardness. You know, we never were bashful about going up and asking who had the dope for sale. But, you know, sometimes we got to push through that awkwardness. Yeah. Who's got the hugs, man? Where's those 13-step chicks at? Okay, all right, 14. What is selfless service and how do I practice it? We'll give you one more for you for the road.
Oh, what did you say?
I was going to go back. You got a minute, right?
Yeah.
I was going to hit you was what is selfless service and how do you practice it?
Oh man, just being there for others, you know, active listening, you know, practicing unconditional love, you know, it's for me that's very important, you know, to try to be there for anybody at whatever time, you know, they need it or whatnot, you know.
Right. Adam, what's selfless service? How do you practice it?
Being there for others, you know, giving the new guy a ride, and you know, I practice it.
Yeah. Answering the phone even when it's somebody I don't like. Returning the texts, whether I like them or not. Giving a hug at meetings, whether I like them or not. I mean, there's people that come in that, I mean, I'll be honest with you, you know, we get some people around here once in a while that do give me a heebie-jeebies, and I like to follow my gut. When my gut says, hey, man, don't mess with that fool. Something's wrong. Something ain't adding up. I have a tendency to want to put those walls up. But as traditions teach us in our common welfare coming first, that even the strange people that, you know, we may not identify with or seem a little off or whatever, even like Gino, he deserves to be here, whether he's paying attention to anything going on in the room or not, whether he's in another world far, far away from here or not, has a right to be here and recover. You know, and in the first tradition, I believe it's in that one. It might be the third one. Third tradition is that one of the worst things that we do to deny somebody membership in Narcotics Anonymous is to ignore them. We can cut somebody's lifeline off just because we don't give them the time of day, you know, and they feel it if we're ignoring them, and you know we're going around giving everybody else a hug in the room, and then we get to them and go whoop, whoop, that little poop, and it's hard too, man, because I'm telling you, you know, we do get people like that, and I have to force myself too to give the hug too.
Almost
you
every
know?
meeting I go to, there's a certain level of clicky bullshit where people are left out, and that's not cool at all.
And there is, I've been to a lot of meetings around town where, you know, the pretty people get all kinds of attention, but you get somebody that's down in the trenches mentality, and everybody's like, they walk way around the edge of the room, and it's fear. It's fear. You get that from people a lot, don't you?
No, I was gonna. What if there's someone like with clean time that you don't like, but they try to hug you and you can't stand it? Is it still the same idea?
It kind of is. See,
Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say?
dude, I think I know who you're talking about too. But
It's not who you think.
okay.
But either way.
You know,
I try to avoid that.
I don't like him either, but you know. Right. So I mean, I don't have to play ball with everybody. I don't have to like everybody. But like when it comes to hugging, you know what, giving somebody a hug and
Give me strength.
you know, it's not going to hurt. Even to people that are emotional vampires that just, you know, there's people that you can literally feel the positive energy being sucked out of your soul by giving somebody a hug. I mean, I know people like that do that, you know, and okay, but you know what? When I force myself to go ahead and give those individuals a hug that I don't want to,
Just don't have a negative interaction at least. Right?
God fills that right back up. I really, I believe I really believe that it's really, really easy to be nice to nice fucking people. It's incredibly difficult to be nice and kind to miserable pricks. And I know because I was one, you know, and I needed the love more than anything else. And it's crazy what the love that we give each other in here does. It chisels just a little bit of that concrete out of their damn life, you know, and maybe, you know, I mean, it gives them a little work. And if nothing else, I get to be a better person by being kind. So, you know, I just like if everybody were nice people and there were no assholes, life would be boring. It takes the assholes to make the nice people that much more enjoyable and pleasurable to be around. If everything was hunky-dory, Brady Bunch perfect bullshit all the time, life would be boring. We need the challenges. We need the differences. We need the ups and downs and the sideways of everything for this thing to work right. So to addicts, why does the 12-step specify that we carry the message to addicts? Why did NA work for us when nothing else did or had? Almost every one of us had someone, a teacher, a counselor, family member, police officer, tell us that using drugs was killing us and destroying all that we cared about. That if we just stayed away from our using friends and otherwise limited our access to drugs, we'd be able to change our lives. Most of us probably even agreed on some level, unless we were in complete denial. So why couldn't we find relief until we found Narcotics Anonymous? What did those NA members have that made us believe recovery was possible? In a word, credibility. We knew that they, who were just like us, had stopped using and found a new way to live. They didn't care what we had or didn't have. It even said in the readings we heard at the beginning of the meeting that it didn't matter what or how much we used. Most of us were grateful to find out that we qualified. We earned our seat here and nobody can take it away or judge us out of here. We knew that we'd suffered enough, but we wanted to be accepted. We were. The addicts who were there for us when we first started coming to meetings made us feel welcome. They offered our phone numbers and encouraged us to call anytime. But what we really found important was identification. Members who had used just like us, or just like we did, shared their experience with getting clean. Members who knew from personal experience exactly how isolated and alone we felt and seemed to know instinctively that a simple, loving hug was what we needed. It seemed as if the whole group knew exactly what we needed without us even having to ask. Number 15, why was an NA member able to reach me in a way no one ever else had? Ryan? You were daydreaming as a motherfucker, weren't you? I caught you cold as shit. I do. Deer in the headlights. Oh,
It was a feeling. When I came in here, not words, I don't remember what anybody said, it was just a feeling, that I belonged here.
Michael, what is the therapeutic value of one addict helping another?
We can understand each other, relate to each other. Similarities, we're both nuts. And we both see that part of each other.
It's funny.
No matter how well you are now, at one time you were batshit crazy.
Yeah. It's funny how this step working guide works because all that stuff that I just read literally answered all three of these questions that come after it. It's like the cheat sheet to it, but we give our, that whole little thing of identification with it. This whole step process, like the more we do the bobblehead doll thing and we're agreeing, it's like, this is me, this is me, this is me, this is me. Yeah, I'll try that too. Yeah, I'll do that too.
Single share since they started coming to AA, you couldn't resonate with.
Yeah. There's always something.
No matter how new they were or how many years they had.
Yep. 17, why is identification important, Adam?
Well, I mean, it's how we know, we understand each other. Because there's that similarities, things that have been through. So, therapeutic value of one addict helping another. You identify with that person.
Okay. Practicing these principles in all our affairs is the next section. Knowing which spiritual principle to practice in any given situation is difficult, but it is usually the opposite of the character defect we would normally be acting out on. For instance, if we feel compelled to exert absolute control over a situation, we can practice the principle of trust. If we would usually be self-righteous in a certain situation, we can practice the principle of humility. If our first impulse is to withdraw and isolate, we can reach out instead, Cameron. How can I practice the principles in different areas of my life, Cameron?
I'm drawing a blank.
I know that was a tough one to come right after I just read that. I hear you on it. I'm kind of drawing a blank on it myself. How can I practice the principles in different areas of my life? Go ahead. Oh,
Do the opposite of our defects that want to come out, pretty much.
it is the cheat sheet.
Yeah,
Essentially,
it's true, though. Like, just do the opposite of what you want.
the main principle. I mean, this section is mostly about step 7. Really, it's largely step 7. We identify the defects of character, and then we try to open up about the opposite of it. Instead of living in fear and anxiety and selfishness, we're going to love and faith and selflessness. Love and tolerance instead of judgment and condemnation. 19. When do I find it difficult to practice spiritual principles? Yeah, little boy in the back.
When somebody cuts me off, when I'm driving.
When you lock your keys in the car.
You should yell at me.
When I really want something. Really, that's what it boils down to. That's when it's hardest to practice spiritual principles. When I know that telling the truth is going to result in me not getting what I want. I want a lot. If I tell you the truth, you're probably not going to give me what I want. If I tell you the truth, you're probably not going to like me very much sometimes, because sometimes honesty hurts people's feelings. A lot of us want, co-signers and sympathizers. We don't always want truth. And, sometimes we got to find a tactful way to tell people the truth, to do it in a spiritual, loving way. But truth is important. 20, which spiritual principles do I have a particularly hard time practicing? Sean? What's your hardest spiritual principle?
At this point in my recovery, I'm practicing all these and literally all my affairs. So, and I too meditate on these principles. And my higher power is, sharing maybe. I might be lacking a little bit of that in there for some reason, but I'm opening up more. I'm
sharing what, donuts, or sharing your story?
sharing my experience. Sharing.
You share your money?
No.
No, you don't share your money? Can I borrow your truck this weekend?
Yeah. Okay. Honestly, I just want to.
Yeah, it's because it's a Dodge. If you had a Ford, nobody would want to borrow it. So. Yeah, gotta have some fun, man. Yeah.
Honestly, right now, I'm not finding it hard to practice any. I'm sure because it's even hard to explain, man. I have a hard time getting mad, finding shit to be mad about. Like
the hardest thing is when things aren't going our way.
I'm having a hard time. If I'm not being grateful, then I'm definitely going to be having a hard time practicing spiritual principles.
Right.
As long as I'm being grateful in the here and now for today, my life is so much more simpler.
Right. When we're in acceptance and we're grateful and we're appreciative and things are going reasonably our way, it's easy to not even want to do those other things. But let the boss, let somebody really,
Yes,
I mean,
that happened.
you get family time around the holidays and they want to do this and that. And, it's a lot easier, when it comes down to just going and letting other people get what they want when it goes against what I want and not having to manipulate it to go the way I want. That's the spiritual principles of me. Realize, and one of the big ones is realizing that my way is not the only way. I like to think that I'm the smartest, I'm the alpha, the omega, the end of the story. Everything's got to go my way. And if you guys would just do it the way I tell you to do it, everything would be lovely. Yes, come on, just get down with the program. So,
I'm struggling with being too honest. Like, okay, so I can give you an example. So this girl sent me this like TikTok video. Pretty much, it was like a picture, and it's like anyone's initials starting with the C has multiple girls in their life. She was like mad at me or something, and the first thing that I did was like, just so you know, I think you're the biggest hypocrite in the world.
that went over great, didn't it?
I mean, it pissed me off, but it's like, I didn't do shit to you, and like, coming at me sideways and shit, so it's like, I mean, it's true, I do see her as a hypocrite, so maybe it was good it happened.
When nothing good can come from the truth, sometimes we need to just leave it alone.
So maybe I wasn't being humble enough.
I do not have, not having to attend every argument that I'm invited to is an important one. Yeah.
So you got multiple.
Yeah. All right. So spiritual principles, even in this step that asks us to practice spiritual principles, there are specific principles connected to self. Am I disturbing you guys?
Take it over there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rad. Sorry.
Yeah, bring some Doritos. They'll be lovely. Get 5 guys shredding Doritos and popcorn, man. It'll be wonderful over here. Yeah, and the chip bags crackling. That's helpful. Yeah, rock that stuff. All right. All right. Maybe some walnuts or something. Even in a step that asks us to practice spiritual principles, there are specific principles connected to the step itself. We will focus on unconditional love, selflessness, and steadfastness. Practicing the principle of unconditional love in the 12th step is essential. Nobody needs love without conditions more than the suffering addict. We don't ask anything of people whom we are trying to carry the message. We don't ask for money. We don't ask for gratitude, candy bars. We don't ask even that they stay clean or chew quietly. We simply extend ourselves. This doesn't mean that we shouldn't take responsibility and precautions. If we believe it isn't safe to bring a suffering addict to our home, we shouldn't do it. The 12-step calls should always be done with another NA member. Nor does practicing the principle of unconditional love require that we allow ourselves to be abused. Sometimes the best way of showing love, or the best way of loving and helping, is to stop enabling someone else to use. Number 1, how am I practicing the principle of unconditional love with addicts I am trying to help? Ray?
Man, dude, I was thinking about situations like that right now. What was the question again?
How are you practicing the principle of unconditional love with addicts that you're trying to help? Usually withholding love is the first thing we want to do. Put the wall up.
I'm really not practicing that right now. But it's convicting what you're saying. You know what I mean? I guess this is not the right place to say that.
Giving love with boundaries is perfectly okay. Loving family members that are in the grips, but not giving them money to go buy their dope or enable their habit. They think the only way we're loving them is if we give them money. But we can offer to take them down and buy them a Happy Meal, or, buy them lunch and sit down and talk with them, or get them a hot cup of coffee and talk to them, offer love, offer attention, offer time and energy, something that doesn't cost us money, if they choose to go if they want to go a good direction in their life, see to it they have what they need to succeed if we can. But, if they want to keep going that way, like I had to do with my son, if this is the direction you want to go, I'll see you when you get done, man. Be glad to have you back in my life, but not right now, not under these conditions. If you're going to be loaded, sorry, I can't play ball with you. You got to go. And I understand that, people got to get willing before we can help them, It's acceptance, but at the same time, I'm not cutting him off. I'm not angry. I'm not, I wish to be different circumstances.
Well, if you get a little, I got a little angry, you know what I'm saying? Because you get fed this whole facade, this whole, like, yeah, dude, like, I got this,
Newsflash, addicts lie.
Mm-hmm.
No
We
way.
bullshit. We exaggerate. We make stories out of thin air that make perfectly good sense with plausible reasoning to back up what the end result is of whatever it is that we want to have happen. We're manipulators, and it's crazy how as dope fiends, the last thing we get clean and all of a sudden we're offended when dope fiends try to dope fiend us. How dare somebody steal my shit? I've stolen an immeasurable amount of shit, and I'll tell you, man, I've been conned and I've been ripped off since I've been clean. And I haven't had to jump up on the fucking soapbox and be pissed off about it. I've been able to just stand up and say, chalk it up to the shit I got away with, and be grateful that it wasn't me doing that shit no more. I can be grateful that I'm not the guy out there having to hit licks anymore. I'm not that dude. I'm grateful I got to this side of it. Many people never get to this side. We are blessed to even be here. Yeah, I got to hurry up, don't I? All right. Here we go. We get blasted through this. So why do we carry the message? Not to serve ourselves, even though we benefit. We carry the message to help others, to help them find freedom from their addiction and grow as individuals. If we have an attitude that we are the people we sponsor, are somehow our possessions, that their lives would fall apart if we are not directing their every move, that most likely they wouldn't even be clean without us, then we've missed the point of the 12th step. We don't expect recognition for the number of sponsees we have or how well they are doing. Not my responsibility. We don't expect recognition for being of service. We do these things to accomplish something good. Self-esteem within. I'm only responsible to offer my services. 22. What is my attitude about sponsorship, Adam? We're going into quick gear for fast answers. We got to wrap this up in about 5 minutes.
It's probably very good to sponsor people.
Yeah, good thing. Do I encourage my sponsees to make their own decisions and grow as a result? Always pray about it and take action. I try not to give the answer. I may say which way I'm leaning on something, but every man's got to make their own decisions. Or do I share my own experience? I do that too. 23. What is my attitude about service? Could NA survive without me? Absolutely, NA could survive without me, but I cannot survive without NA. 24. How am I practicing the principles of selflessness in my efforts to be of service? And doing random acts of kindness, doing little things and trying to do them anonymously without being recognized, just doing the little things like, buying that extra coffee or that creamer, or buying a newcomer a basic text on the down low with nobody knowing about it, or little things like that. The challenge my sponsor told me to go do random acts of kindness without getting caught was really good, because I was one of those guys. If I stopped on the freeway and helped help a little old lady change a tire on her car, I'd run to the meeting and want to tell everybody what a great guy I was by doing that kind of stuff. And it just feeds up the wrong ego. When I do good stuff, man, it's mostly between me and God, because that's where I feel it, feel the power the most is in that, and the energy. Huh? It is. And how do they know if we don't tell them? But like what I do is I try to wait like way down the road. after the energy of the event is kind of dissipated. Because, you know, if I don't tell guys that I helped a newcomer change the motor in his car when I was like a year clean, and this other newcomer, you know, he was down and out and blew an engine. I put an engine in a guy's truck once for nothing. Just he paid for the fucking materials and bought the engine, and I spent a weekend and a half or so and popped an engine in his truck for him and did the good deed. I said no, I didn't say anything to my sponsor about doing it, and I told him don't fucking tell nobody, because I didn't want a whole line of people around my house wanting me to do free work on their shit either. Because that kind of word gets out in NA, and there's a lot of people looking for free rides around here, and if you get marked as a sucker, you'll have them lined around your house. Anyway. Practicing the principles of steadfast. Okay, how am I practicing the principle of selfishness in my efforts to be of service? We just did that one. Practicing the principle of steadfastness means that we need to keep on trying to do our best. Even if we've had a setback and fallen short of our own expectations, we need to recommit ourselves to recovery. So when we sponsor guys and they get high, don't take it personally. That happens to people out here, and then they don't want to get any more sponsees because it's my fault, and they take negative responsibility over the self. It's not. It's always between them and God. We cannot recover for another human being. That is, we can barely recover for ourselves. Steadfastness keeps a bad morning or a bad day from turning into a pattern that can lead to relapse. Bad moments turn into bad days. This commitment ensures that we will keep practicing the principles of our program despite of how we feel. Whether we're happy about it, bored with it, disgusted by it, or completely frustrated over it, we keep trying to work a program, period. There's no more decision making whether I'm going to a meeting for me. You know, I'm usually planning the day before, the week before. I know where I'm going to be the next night. And I was always trying to plan where my dope was going to come from. And I wasn't thinking, was I going to get high or not going to get high? That wasn't even on the table. So I treat my recovery the same way. I am doing this, period, despite what King Baby may want to do. 25, am I committed to my recovery? What do I do to maintain it? We're all here. 26, do I practice the spiritual principle? Do I practice spiritual principles regardless of how I feel? Yes, but it's taken a lot of practice. And the last thing here. So we should feel good about what we've done. We have, in many cases, for the first time, followed a process all the way through. This is an amazing accomplishment, something about which we should be very proud. In fact, one of the rewards of working in NA program is finding that our self-esteem has grown a great deal. We find ourselves joining society. We can do things that seem beyond us before. Exchanging hellos with a neighbor or a clerk at a local market, being nice to people, just being nice, taking on positions of leadership in our community, joining a social events with people who don't know we're addicts, and not feeling less than. I'm not a hero or zero, better than or less than, just another bozo on the bus of life. In fact, we may be looked at with contempt upon such things in the past because we felt that we'd never be able to fit in, but now we know we can. We can do whatever we want to, as long as I keep recovery number one. Everything else has to take a back seat to this deal. We become approachable. People may even seek out our advice and counsel on professional matters. I get that a lot from from neighbors and guys I work with, man. It's pretty cool. Nobody wanted anything I had before, except for maybe my custom paint skills. When we think about where we've come from and what our recovery has brought to our lives, we can only be overwhelmed with gratitude. As it says in It Works, How and Why book, gratitude becomes the underlying force in all that we do. Our very lives can be expressions of our gratitude. It all depends on how we choose to live. Each one of us has something very special and unique to offer in gratitude. How will I express my gratitude? How are you going to express your gratitude, Ryan? Everybody's getting that question real quick. 60 seconds. 50.
More grateful.
There's
Is that the wrong answer?
really not a wrong answer, man.
I don't know.
Okay.
I just try to stay grateful
Grateful for everything.
for everything.
Everything.
Because I'm a diehard drinking man. I'm thinking today, so.
Dude, it's being grateful for what little stuff we have is so important, dude. Everything's on loan to me. There is nothing that is mine. Any given moment, shit can go. Anything can be taken from me. Michael?
By forcing myself to share in every single meeting, whether I want to or not, just to show I'm grateful for my recovery.
Okay. Oh?
Yeah, showing up for the newcomer.
Reaching out to newcomers and meetings.
Yeah. Right?
Sharing my experience. Showing up for my
So, Gino, wake up. What are you grateful for? It's not even that cold outside. What are you grateful for?
breath.
All right. Glad you're here. Cameron, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful that I was shown Narcotics Anonymous. I want to be the mic. I want to be happy. So I'm grateful that I was shown this program. Before I just took it for granted. I'm just barely starting to see the way.
Yeah. Right.
Nice.
Just gyrating down. You're just coming to a landing right now, man. Enjoy it. Buckle up, Buttercup. Adam?
I'm grateful that the camera hasn't run out of juice yet.
It almost
It's
is.
a long one.
No? Nothing?
What am I grateful
Yeah.
I mean, the people I have in my life, for sure, instead of these shit.
Getting a paycheck for one day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I should be.
Okay.
I feel like I'm being spit on. What?
It could just be an innocent mistake, but you never even looked at it that way. Yeah.
They
So
don't ever
it
make me-
when we assume things, why do we always, addicts, we do this? We mostly always assume the wrong in everything. We always look that somebody, why? Because I was usually out trying to fuck people too. So when somebody's doing it to me, I assume that they did it intentional, and most of the time, dude, most people out there in the real world, they're oblivious. It's crazy that Adam, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful that the camera hasn't run out.
Is that the
of
real?
juice.
That's the real thing. Okay.
I'm grateful for somebody showing me the rooms, showing me the program.
All right. Well, let's close this thing up. All right. Ooh, look at that. Take us out, Chandler.
Everybody put your right foot forward.
I am not doing the hokey pokey. Sorry, I refuse to do the hokey
After
pokey.
longest silence, suffering in and out of these rooms, please join me in the third step. Many of us have said,
Take our will in our lives, guide us in our recoveries, and show us how to live.
clean. Keep coming back, it works.
So next week we're starting on traditions. You need your basic text and the guiding principles book. If you want to